Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech Study with Lalit. In today's video, we are going to understand JSON Wire Protocol in more detail. So let's start with this. What JSON Wire Protocol is, why Selenium needed it, how it works internally, its architecture, limitations, and why it was replaced by the W3C WebDriver Protocol. As we know in previous video, if you guys have seen that video, you can clearly see the architecture where JSON wire protocol sits in between a client and server. So let's talk more about the role of JSON wire protocol. As you know, JSON wire protocol is now deprecated, but earlier in JSON earlier versions of Selenium it was used. So basically I would like to give a context about JSON wire protocol, so that's why you can understand the picture, big picture about W3C WebDriver protocol. So let's move on. First question is, what is JSON wire protocol? As the name suggests, it's a JSON wire protocol is a communication protocol used by older versions of Selenium, mainly Selenium 2 and Selenium 3, to interact with the web browsers. In simple words, JSON wire protocol defines how Selenium sends commands to the browsers and receives responses. It uses HTTP for communication and JSON format to send requests and receive responses. That's why it is called JSON plus wire protocol. As you know, why we are using wire protocol, JSON wire protocol for this Selenium 2 and Selenium 3. Why we are using that? Before Selenium WebDriver, there was Selenium RC version available, and that was very slow and complex, and browsers did not expose a standard automation interface. JSON wire protocol solved this by acting as a middle layer between Selenium and browsers. Let me show you how it sits here once again. This is your test script, okay, in any of the language like Java, C#, Python, Ruby, JavaScript, and here is your Selenium client library, or basically we can say WebDriver API. And then here we have a JSON wire protocol. Basically, JSON wire protocol, what it does, it converts your request or commands, from Selenium client WebDriver API and into JSON and sent it over a HTTP protocol. Okay. Here we have a server. Basically, server is your browser drivers. Browser driver. Basically, we can say any driver like Chrome driver, for say. And here you have a actual application. Okay. Let's say it opens in a Chrome browser. So That's here. This is a middle layer between your client, that is your WebDriver API, and your server, that is browser drivers, and interact with the actual browser. And whatever the response it gets, it passes over to JSON Wire Protocol to your client libraries and to your script that is in Eclipse or any of the ID. Okay, like Eclipse or IntelliJ, whatever you are using. The result will be passed on to the this. So basically, each and every request will be passed through this client and then JSON Wire Protocol and then server and then actually the application launching, navigation, clicking, filling anything. So basically whatever the actions is happening through JSON Wire Protocol. But earlier in JSON, Selenium 1, it was remote control only. Okay. So remote control version was available. So basically this JSON Wire Protocol replaced this RC. Because of that, you see here, like JSON Wire Protocol solved this by acting as a middle layer between Selenium and browsers and providing a defined set of REST APIs, like how it communicate with the server and how client will be communicating with the server. Those rules are given by this JSON Wire Protocol, allowing Selenium to control browsers remotely, and this gave the leverage to your Selenium to control the browsers remotely. One second, guys. Let me plug in. So here what happened, allowing Selenium to control browsers remotely, and at that time it was a big improvement and widely adopted. So that was very big achievement on that time. So that time we moved on to the JSON Wire Protocol instead of RC, because RC was very slow and complex and browsers did not expose a standard automation interface with RC at that time. But after introducing JSON Wire Protocol, it helped in this communication between client and browser drivers. Let's move on to the next thing, JSON Wire Protocol architecture. As I explained you, your components here involve test script, Java, Python, etc., Selenium client library, your client basically, and browser drivers basically your server, and the browser test script you write for any of the browser test script like Chrome driver or for Firefox, you write test script for that browser, and then Selenium client, JSON wire protocol over HTTP, and then browser drivers and then to browser. Each Selenium command is converted into JSON request and sent by HTTP to the browser driver, that is your server. So that's how your architecture is. I already explained in earlier video as well. You can refer those videos if you want to go into deep dive about how it works. How JSON Wire Protocol works internally. So basically we have to understand like how JSON Wire Protocol works internally by taking an example. Okay, here if a user wants to click login button on any of the application, then driver.find element by.id, this is a locator we are using, and login is your locator, and .click, this is a command given to the Selenium. Then Selenium treated it as a command, and Selenium client converts this command into HTTP request. And in HTTP request, the JSON request sent like post, it may be like post, okay, get or delete, any type it can be. Here we have post, and inside that we have a session call first, and then session ID, and then element, it should be the your first call. Then request body is like using ID value login. This is your request body. This is your endpoint basically. Okay, and browser driver executes command. Chrome driver receives the request and converts it into a browser specific command and executes in the browser. And step 4 is response return. Example response like status 0 value element, this is your ID, element ID. And then Selenium interprets response. Status 0 means success and non-zero status means failure. Okay, that's how the JSON wire protocol understand and communicate between client and server for each request and response. So this whole process keeps going on repetition basis, basically to transfer the data from client to server and server to client. Basically it's it provides us a set of rules to communicate between client and server. Move on to this important characteristics and limitations of JSON wire protocol. Basically it uses HTTP plus JSON and REST based communication, and each browser driver had its own implementation. Response is included a status field, not an official standard. As of now, you see like W3C is standard, right, officially standard by W3C. W3C WebDriver is officially standardized, but this JSON wire protocol was not standardized. And responses includes a status field like 0 or non-zero. Okay, like sorry, here you see status 0 means success and non-zero status means failure. Okay, so and each browser driver had its own implementation, means like Chrome driver. Okay, if Chrome driver will be having some set of implementations, but for Firefox we have some different set of implementations. So each and every browser having some bit of difference in terms of implementation. And REST based, obviously it works on REST based communication, so that's why we are saying it's a REST based communication, because it's a protocol. So yeah, we have a set of rules and regulations defined, so that's why it working in those terms. So we are having this aligned with the REST based communication. Limitations is like JSON wire protocol. Despite being useful, JSON wire protocol had several problems. First problem is no official standard. That's I already told you, it's not officially standardized. So that's why each and every browser has a different implementations. So some inconsistencies in terms of different behavior across browsers, and inconsistent error handling. So sometimes inconsistent error handling means we get error like no such element found. So there was no concrete definition of error, why it is coming. It was a generic or vague actually. Vendor specific extensions, yeah, so here we have vendor specific extensions. So, that is also limitation, and difficult to maintain and scale. It was very difficult to maintain. It is quite unstable. So, yeah, it is difficult to maintain and scale it. Because of these issues, automation results were not consistent across browsers. This is the major drawback, because results were not consistent across browsers. Why JSON wire protocol was deprecated? To solve these problems, W3C introduced WebDriver as an official standard. So, all browsers agreed to follow one protocol, and Selenium for fully adopted W3C WebDriver, and JSON Wire Protocol was officially deprecated. That's why it was deprecated. So, to summarize, JSON Wire Protocol was the foundation of Selenium WebDriver communication. It enabled remote browser automation, but due to lack of standardization, it was replaced by W3C WebDriver. Today, Selenium 4 strictly follows W3C standards. So, this was it for this video, and meet you soon. If you really like this video, you hit a like button and subscribe my channel for more videos. Thank you. Till then, bye.